Telling your story can be as simple as writing it down for yourself and not necessarily seeing it as something that you have to give to other people, that you don't have to always completely expose yourself and show the private parts of your inner world or your past that may or may not be for public consumption. There is this pressure sometimes to be relatable through what we expose, and then we're suddenly very exposed without a plan. But the telling your story part is very important. I have learned. There have been things where I would have to take a pretty big leap in life, a big leap of trust, where I was leaving something that had the illusions of security, but it was really the consequences that would happen if I continued to settle. So, what I would leave were things where I was settling or where I wasn't feeling met or I wouldn't be met. And at the time, though, it can feel really scary to do so because you're walking away from the familiar. And then when you do that, a lot of stories are going to come up, a lot of emotions, a lot of pulling from the past comes up. And if you give those narratives too much power and attention, they can have a tendency to pull you back into old ways of making decisions from fear and scarcity and not fully believing in what you know is possible for you, and believing that like what you did was based on your highest level of intuition and you did it for a reason. And it makes sense, because that not having a stable foundation in this world with the way things are, that's a scary thing. That's not a small thing. So, no criticism there whatsoever. There are times I have gone back. There are times I have settled to feel secure. But in moving away from that, what is so powerful about having a consistent practice where you do tell your story, journaling, talking aloud, recording. I think it's really, really important to record it in some way. Doesn't even have to be for distribution, but for you, for your practice to see, to recognize, to notice, to have the pattern right there in front of you, and to remember what you left behind and why you did, to remember who you are. Because as you tell your story, it allows you to build a much deeper, more meaningful connection with yourself, with your highest self. And so you get to make decisions from that place. But without that storytelling, a lot of times these false narratives, these illusions get to be the story instead. And they get to try and convince you of things that are not true. It's like having a snake oil salesman pop up and try to really, sell you on something that deep down isn't based in fact, but it's sounding good in the moment. Well, if you're connected to like the truth and you're consistently telling that story, then you know where you can lean. You have the power to be the one deciding on the narrative.